today's episode is going to be all about the witch wound. We're going to talk about what the witch wound is. We're going to talk about how that might manifest in your life, also how that has manifested in our lives, and then ways to heal the witch wound. So, what is the witch wound? So the witch wound is deep-rooted ancestral collective trauma that has manifested from basically the witch trials, right?
Yeah.
I remember you saying something earlier, Tony, about Salem and how it started.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we hear a lot about Salem, even though the least amount of people were persecuted there. I think it was something like 24 people were persecuted, whereas in other countries, you know, like Germany and Scotland, thousands of people were persecuted and died. But I think most famously because of the theatre production of Crucible, right? In which character was it?
So it is, I'm just going to double check again. It is Abigail Williams is the character who essentially blames another lady, Elizabeth.
Well, she have like a psychosis first. Something happens to her.
She's dancing in the woods with a group of girls, and they believe they're bewitched, and that she is bewitched. And to save her own skin, she blames another woman in the village.
I think she blames more than one, doesn't she?
I think the main one she blames is Elizabeth, because she's had an affair with Elizabeth's husband. So, yes. So she blames the wife of the man she's had an affair with. But there are a group of girls that she sort of initially led into this sort of free spirit dancing. But essentially, to just compile it, Abigail is the main protagonist in it who blames another woman for being a witch.
And also, I think to go even deeper than that into sort of colonialism, it sort of is rooted with Tituba, isn't it? The slave of one of the households, woman of colour, and she's bringing in her spiritual practices that are obviously different from the church, and she gets blamed for everything. She does get away with it though, so I think her magic works. But you know, it's obviously that the witch wound is centuries of persecution that have stemmed from blaming other women in order to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah. Lots of finger pointing.
Yeah, and I think you know that that would have, you know, if we look at the history, because obviously the Crucible's a play, but if we look at history with the Hammer of the Witches, in that witch trial, even throughout Europe, women would have been pinning other women to sort of save themselves. They would have been pointing the finger and saying, she's a witch, and I'm a God-fearing woman, you know, because that's how we protected ourselves. And that wound, that intergenerational wound, has passed down through each generation, and it's not been addressed today. And so it's showing up all the time for all of us, isn't it?
Totally. And it comes out for everybody in completely different ways. The witch wound manifests through, I guess, your ancestral line in completely different ways, like a fear of being seen, a fear of speaking up, you know, massive self-doubt. It comes through everyone completely differently and shows up in different ways, and it does affect everyone uniquely, but it is part of a collective of this witch wound.
I think it's also cultural conditioning, isn't it? It stems from the church. It stems from... Well, I wasn't going to say it. I didn't say it first. Steph said patriarchy. But yes, internalized...
It was on the tip of your tongue, don't lie.
It was, the big P. Also internalized patriarchy. So, you know, women thinking that they're on the right side of things. But, you know, I think it stems from organised religion, male-based religion, and removing women from positions of power.
Well, I guess you only really have to look at how most of the earth followed a very goddess-based practice.
Yes.
It was all earth-based religion, and then it got completely stamped out and changed.
Back in the Paleolithic times.
I was just thinking about
megalithic.
I would say, guys, I've been thinking about the megalithic times.
And I actually meant Paleolithic. But back in those times, obviously it was all centered around the goddess, wasn't it?
Earth-based religion.
It was all earth-based religion, and women were way more celebrated in those times.
And spiritual as well. You know, lots of women were held in really high positions within their own spiritual practice. You know, the community would look after them. They would sort of provide them with housing and, you know, food and anything that they needed, because they were providing a spiritual service to the rest of the community. But I think that, I don't know about you guys, but it's showing up all the time for me at the moment, especially as we're kind of like moving towards this next decade of our lives. You know, we're approaching the 40s, and I feel like not too soon, but in a couple of years. You know, I feel
it's not that close.
I feel like we're approaching this next sort of like phase of life in which, you know, you're supposed to be married, have a house, have children, you know, have a successful business. And that might not be the path that everyone wants to follow. But I think in particular for me, it's coming up as competitiveness. That's one of the big things that I'm feeling, is that women are sort of like penned against each other, you know, based on like what we have and the perceived success that we have. Because also perceived success online is different to actual real life success and financial gain, and it's really tricky. You're probably experiencing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, you see that kind of thing all the time within like the business world, don't you? I mean, it's not a new thing. With business, it's quite a well-known thing. Like, you always talk about, oh, you know, competitors and stuff, and I've always actually hated that. I've always hated seeing people as a competitor. What I really wanted was for everyone to come together and, you know, celebrate each other, and, you know, it not be like that.
Yeah, but it's difficult because even though you say that, like if someone ripped off your business model like completely, that would also be like taking parts of you away. You know, you've worked very hard to get to where you are in order to provide a really genuine, authentic service. And I think to have someone see that success and be like, well, I can do that. I can do a version of that. Let me just copy your whole business model. It's difficult because I feel like it's you know, we don't want to be competing all the time, but we also want to respect what people have built. We want to respect the journey that they've been through, the service that they put together. I mean, definitely been some blood, sweat and tears. While also just not wanting to tear each other down. You know, I think a lot of the time it's about learning to have difficult conversations in a respectful way, but it is also really difficult because we live in a society that just constantly has this pitchfork mentality. It's a witch wound, isn't it? I mean, like, we literally go after people online like they've killed our family.
There's a feeling as well of like you're always underachieving. Like you're made to feel like you're endlessly underachieving. Look at this person online. There's this feeling of like not quite achieving it yet, almost, but actually when you look at it, you're like, actually,
I've done pretty well.
I've done okay. I've done pretty well. You know, fair dues, but there's this constant feeling of you're underachieving. And also, like, we've spoken about it before, but also in appearance, looks, all of that witch wound of comparing each other all the time. It's just this constant feeling of you're not quite there yet, instead of just, hey, this is me, and I accept this is me and this is you and this is you. It's this bizarre underachieving. I came off Facebook a couple of years ago because I was like, I can't hack it anymore. But yeah, that's how, only way I can describe it is just this sense of like you're not quite doing enough when actually you're doing tons more than you probably can actually take.
You just reminded me of this this documentary that I just watched. Actually, I think you've watched it as well. I think it was called like The Devil in the Family. Or something like that. And it was about this woman in America who had lots of children and a husband, and she decided that she wanted to be a YouTuber, and all she wanted was to be perceived as the best mother ever. And behind the camera, she was actually abusing her children and her husband in a really bad way. And it was just like the perception of being the best mother on the planet and the best Christian or whatever was more important to her than actually how she was behaving in her personal life. And she's actually just been sentenced to like 30 years in prison for child abuse. But I do think that it's this sort of programming of essentially what you're saying about us needing to be these high performing, successful,
perfect
human beings,
and you're just not.
The standard is absolutely impossible. To achieve all the time. Like if you even think about the basic things we're expected to do, expected to be good good daughters, good mothers, good sisters, go to the gym, be spiritual, be good at our studies, have a good job, earn a certain amount of money, have a house, it's just have children. It's like
it's
completely
it's exhausting. The other day, at the moment as well, because I am childless and I do have children, my 2 dogs are my children, but I'm childless and not married. There's a real sense among, shall we say, older ladies who are like, oh, you're not married, you don't have any children, that I've sort of failed in some way, that I haven't succeeded because I don't have a child or I'm not married. So again, it's that thing of, wait, you should be married, you should have a child, why hasn't that happened for you? Oh, well, that whole, she's on the shelf and we put her out to pasture. It's judgment. Yeah,
there's constant judgment. I mean, look at her over there. What's she doing? Or she looks like she's not wearing enough clothes. Or look at who she's dating. He's too old, or he's too.
Yeah, that's it.
It's just constant judgment of each other. And the thing is that it's not like we're talking about that there are bad women out there doing this. This is all of us. This is all of us all the time. We have to constantly be checking ourselves on our behaviour. I'm absolutely to blame for judging other women and for being competitive, as a nearly 40-year-old woman who's trying to create a career for herself. I find it really disheartening and difficult when I see someone do the same thing as me and they're succeeding more than I am, and I'm having to have a job on the side that isn't the thing that I necessarily want to do long term. It is really difficult. And I think that a lot of the time when you're trying to build up a business on the side of something that pays your bills, things don't always go to plan, do they? We make mistakes all the time, and those mistakes can be really painful lessons. I've had an instance recently where I've invested in a project for 3 years just to be have it fall apart just as it's getting good. And it feels really painful. It feels like, I think betrayal is like another one, like competitive and betrayal, feeling betrayed by people. And it's difficult because it's sort of learning to recognize the witch wound versus understanding just what a toxic friendship is.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard line.
I definitely feel like as I'm getting closer to my 40s, I'm finding that I want to surround myself with people that I can genuinely trust and also aren't toxic friendships, because you just don't need that in your life anymore. And that actually, if I think back to my teens or maybe even early 20s, my friendship group was probably a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Because you would be probably going out more and doing more things. But now it's teeny tiny. And I actually prefer it.
It's nice.
Yeah. And it's also deeper. I think that, you have, when you're younger, you naturally have more friends because you're in school, or you're in college, you know your whole year and stuff like that. And you'd say, oh, these 300 people in my year are my friends, but how many of them actually really know you? So I think as you get older, lots and lots of people drop off, but you have much deeper friendships with people.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
definitely.
But I agree with you about the kind of the energy exchange as well. I think if you're in a friendship which feels draining all the time, then that there's not an even energy exchange, and it's probably a bit toxic.
Yeah, that's another thing is, I guess energy vampires. There definitely needs to be an even exchange in friendship, I think.
For sure.
I've had to really learn that because
you're an over-giver.
Yeah.
Give and give and give.
Yeah.
For sure.
We're all over.
And we're like, well, yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, true. All over givers. I had to I was just thinking there when you were saying that, I used to have, when I was younger, I think I had thousands of friends that I endlessly ran around going, friends with you all. And again, as I've got older, I've gone, I actually physically can't do that. I'm exhausted. But it was just, I guess it's that witch wound of endlessly people pleasing to your own friggin' detriment.
Well, yeah, you are literally yes, man.
I know,
yes, man.
I know. And then I go, oh God, oh no, you're doing so much.
No.
How do I stop?
Why have I said yes to this?
Why have I said yeah?
What am I
it's
doing?
empty.
But it's that fear of
Saying no.
yeah, saying no, and it's a lesson in boundaries, isn't it?
100%.
And fear of letting people down and then being upset with you because you've said no to them.
Yep. 100%.
But it's such an important thing that we have to do is saying no. So important.
Yeah. That's a big one that I'm still learning.
Well, you're getting so much better with it, I think. You've done a lot of work.
Yeah. And these things as well that we're talking about, they're unconsciously ingrained. You have to, like you said, you have to go, hang on, I have to value that rather than, because you can easily slip back into that pattern and inside yourself, you can kind of slip into it. But then you're like, hang on, this is actually part of the witch wound. This is a pattern. This is like my own karmic pattern or your karmic pattern or your karmic pattern or, you know, other ladies' patterns that we all have. And it's when you're doing it is to step into it and go, hang on.
What do you mean by karmic pattern?
Well, I guess I mean like
generational.
I probably mean like ancestral, like it's been passed down. Like
yeah, but what does karmic pattern mean?
Well, I suppose I mean like I guess like it's repeating, because I think I get my people pleasing. Like if you met my mum, for example, you'd go, she says yes to everything. Endless people pleaser. If you met my mum's grandma. My mum's mum's the same thing. It goes on and on and on. So I guess I mean the karma is kind of repeating, and it just
right. I see what you mean.
It might need someone to go, hang on. Let's just stop the pattern here. Hang on. Let's
chain breaker. Yeah.
Break the chain.
Someone to do the work.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing loads of sort of like witch wound work recently. I mean, I've never really been much of a journaler, and I've been journaling like freaking crazy recently.
Look at it.
I know. Well, these are actually my notes.
Sorry. So yeah, it's actually her journal.
I have been doing loads of work because of the witch wound, because I've been hit by a witch wound issue recently, and it's kind of made me realise that if I go back to the way that I was brought up, and then that awful relationship that I was in my early 20s, that everything I do is about desperately wanting people to value me and love me. And so what I do is I give all of that to people that don't deserve it. I give that energy like I did to a parent, and like I did to that terrible person I was in a relationship with. And I do it with women as well. Like I give too much energy. I try and fix that. I have like a bit of a savior complex thing going on, I think. And I try and fix things that they're like, oh, you know, my life's difficult. I can't do this. Can you help me? And I'm like, yeah, I can come in and fix it. And I give, and I get nothing in return. And then when I'm hit by like betrayal or like gossiping or something like that, I feel deeply wounded. Like it's so painful, isn't it, when something like that happens? And you just think, I've done so much for you, and all you do is take advantage of me. And then you're like, witch wound.
Yeah.
And like it's about recognizing what those friendships are, you know, and you know, like you said, putting those healthy boundaries in place, or recognizing which people you need to distance yourself from because they are just energy vampires, and recognizing that maybe certain people want from you because they're jealous of something. You know, they're craving something from you. They're craving your essence. They're craving your time. They're craving your, you know, the way in which you dress, the way in which you talk, the way in which you deliver ceremony or whatever. And they're craving all of that. So they take. And, you know, it's a really tough lesson when you finally realize that person probably shouldn't be in your life anymore.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow.
It's a really tough pill. But it's also tough because you have to realize your own part in it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to realize there's a reason why these people, I keep attracting these people, or there's a reason why I keep ending up in these dynamics. I'm part of that, you know. It's not all on them. It's to do with something that I'm doing. I have a savior complex issue. And I don't know why. I probably need to keep journaling about that. But, you know, it probably stems from childhood, you know. It's that when you have a narcissistic parent or you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you get stuck in this, you'll get conditioned into this situation in which you're constantly sort of altering the way in which you behave in order to keep your situation safe, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
the way in which you receive love is that you learn to endure pain. So you endure pain in order to feel safe and to feel love. And unfortunately, when stuff like that happens, it seeps out into friendships as well. And I think that the witch wound with that paired up is a really dangerous thing. Because it's not just like competitiveness, is it? It's like what we said, jealousy, betrayal, or just touched on betrayal, slander as well. I was thinking about how people just say women will just say really nasty things about each other. Oh, she wears too much makeup, or she's too fat, or she's too thin, or, she doesn't know who she is anymore because she's had a child, or, she's not paying people fairly, or...
You see it in the press as well, in the media a lot, with other women bashing other women in full-on articles.
Yeah.
But yeah. The other thing I was going to say is fear of being seen, which you kind of brought up. A really big one is, as a witch, staying in the broom closet and not ever
Stepping out
and saying,
this is it,
that I'm a witch and I'm proud of that, and let me teach you about what that means to me.
But like shared wisdom,
Yeah.
Because of the fear of ridicule. Ridicule. Fear of ridicule and the anxiety around it. And I guess a lot of it is fear of sort of telling friends and family, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
and how they might react, especially if you've got, really religious parents.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
I got a real religious mama.
Yeah.
But
you had conversations, and you also you chose words that she could relate to and make to kind of get her to understand, right?
Yeah, I did, and again, this is something I take part. I own this part in that I feel I was hard on my mum for her religious belief. And that's something that I've really, as I've got older, gone, well, that's actually really mean. I shouldn't have been so harsh on her. I should have been a bit more understanding that that's her belief.
Yeah.
It means a lot to her. It gives her enormous amounts of, community and hope and all those beautiful things. So actually, I apologised to her and said, do you know what? I hope you forgive me for all those awful things I said when I was like 14 and just lashing out.
That's maturity, though.
Maturity.
You grow up and you learn about context.
Yeah.
You learn about why.
I mean, look at the start of this podcast. I said about how much I hated Catholicism, and actually I've learnt a hell of a lot more about it.
Well, there you go.
And looked more into folk Catholicism, and I can actually see a lot of magic within it. So, I mean, we're constantly learning and changing, growing in our thoughts, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was really interesting what you said about how you worded things differently so you could have that conversation. And I think, we spoke a lot about that before, Tony saying, wording, I can't remember. I think it was about demons.
Yeah.
What if I said bad energy?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that makes sense. And it's the same thing. And, perhaps if, some of you at home wanted to have that conversation with family, of course, if it is safe for you to do so, that maybe you'd use different wording.
Yeah.
You don't have to say witch or witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
You could use...
I said sister. I say sisterhood.
Yeah.
And my mum will say, like today she went, and how are the sisters? And I said,
the sisters are good.
And I'm like, I was like, the sisters are very well, thank you. So it
I
is...
suppose you can relate to that in a way that, with nuns are called sisters.
Exactly.
So if someone's very heavily Catholic, then that would make sense.
And then she goes, it makes her go, oh...
The suffragettes might have said sisters as well. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I think on the other side of it, on the sort of like being in the broom closet, I think there's also those that are out of the broom closet and not wanting to share the information, and not wanting to share the wisdom, the kind of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
It's like really all of this is about sharing knowledge and sharing skills.
Exactly. essence, isn't it?
Holding each other's hand and building community. Exactly, that we totally on the same page about that. But there is an issue in spiritual circles with gatekeeping.
Yeah.
You know, and all this priestess stuff, and you know, you need to be, what's the word? You need to be initiated.
But say crowned. Another bit
crowned. No, you need to be initiated into something, and it's like that's not what it's about. It's not about initiations and cloaks, and it's about sharing. It's about, you know, that's what I think witchcraft is about. It's about sharing knowledge, sharing resources, holding each other, feeding each other, making each other laugh, holding each other while each other cries. You know, that's what it's about. And I would say the witch wound is definitely a part of that, is to do with gatekeeping information.
Yeah, definitely.
Or what's the word? Commercializing it.
Yeah.
Charging for it, charging thousands of pounds worth for courses that are unattainable for those on low income, with a disregard for any kind of indigenous practice that it comes from. You know, I think that's part of the witch wound as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these people like offering like ceremonial cacao training and stuff like that, and they don't even realize that they're selling something that's really sacred from a community that they were never a part of and they didn't bother to learn from, and then pricing out those people, the younger generations.
There's definitely a lack of knowledge seeking, I think.
Totally, yeah.
I think we're very, I mean, it's to do with the way that we live now. Everything is so fast paced, and we're, you know, wanting to know all the things really quickly. But actually, sometimes it takes a really long time to really understand, doesn't it?
Also, it's the way that everything is so instantly available on the internet, isn't it? People are like, oh, I want to get ordained so that I can marry someone. Oh, just pay 20 quid. It's like, yeah, but you're not going to offer something that's like, you know, well, you might do, but I very much doubt that you'll have the experience to offer something that kind of is ceremonial and kind of connecting for everyone involved. Lost my train of thought. Why does this always happen to me?
Should we move on to the next one? Imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah. That's so prevalent within women as well.
Unreal.
Yeah.
We all have it.
Yeah, everyone has it.
We all experience it. I get imposter syndrome when I get a snarky comment online. When someone, not snarky is wrong, if someone tries to really take me down and I lose my footing a bit, you know, I feel embarrassed or shamed, because shame's another one. Come back to that. When you're kind of like shamed online, I suddenly like just have this massive flood of imposter syndrome, and I've wanted to like step away from the podcast, or I wanted to like stop doing ceremonial work or doing music or whatever. It's like really can shake you, can't it?
Yeah, I've definitely felt like that, like just wanting to go and hide away and just never be online again. I mean, I don't particularly like social media anyway, but unfortunately, when you are self-employed, you kind of have to be on there all the time. And it's draining, to be honest. But imposter syndrome has definitely affected me a lot. And it's something really that I have massively worked through. Yeah. I've done a lot of coaching with other people to get over it.
You're still doing it.
Oh, you're still working
on this podcast as well.
Yeah, this is part of my coaching. Thanks, guys.
But I mean, like, you're putting yourself out there in places that are probably quite uncomfortable for someone that has imposter syndrome.
Yeah, especially someone who, you know, has fear of speaking and speaking out. And yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a challenge for me, but it's helping me. It's helping me loads to string sentences together, probably.
Well, share your thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
You know, be more open about how you feel about your witchcraft.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's another thing, because I feel so passionately about everything that we do, it does make it easier for me to talk about it in a way, because I love it so much, and it means a lot to me. So yeah, it has made it easier. But as I said, I did do, like, even before I started the Coven, I had masses of coaching to try and get over not thinking that I couldn't do things.
Yeah.
Like even before, starting the Coven, I was like, oh, I can't do this. Why would I be able to do something like that?
I get that as well.
I do too.
I had a sound bath the other day, and afterwards I was like, oh my God, that was so draining. Like, how can I possibly do this? How can I carry all these instruments and set them up and do this thing and then break them down and sell enough tickets and all of this stuff? I was like, what the hell do I think I'm doing?
I call it it's like a gremlin, like a self-worth gremlin. And I've had to work on my self-worth because mine really all comes from school. If I look at it all. And I have a real nasty little self-worth gremlin who like comes out. I know. Comes down my brain and blah. And I have to really talk my imposter syndrome out. I have to almost go, right, that's enough. Like I have to really take myself in hand and like cease fire and desist. Stop this evil imposter syndrome. But that again is that witch wound of you're not good enough to do that, and having to really go, this is irrational, stop.
You can end up self-sabotaging as well, can't you? Your
I definitely do.
thoughts and ideas of things that you want to do, even within a personal practice. You might be like, you've studied something really well, but then you're like, oh, but I don't know enough to do it. And then you kind of, I know that there's a lot of people that will go and study witchcraft extensively and then never actually put it into practice because they're a fear of doing it wrong or, so definitely self-sabotage. It could easily lead into that, I think.
Yeah,
imposter syndrome.
Totally. Yeah, because self-sabotage is a really awful voice in your head that can then unwind all your good work because you're talking yourself off the ledge, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're unwinding all your sound session, I'm sure, was lovely, but you've come out with the evil gremlin who's then saying, well, that was rubbish and and you're just sabotaging, probably for those people who are there, an amazing sound healing session.
Well, it's even when, even if we told you how amazing you are at sound, in your head you're probably like, but it wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
it's also
you
like
keep going, don't you?
Yeah, with the social media thing, you can have 100 amazing comments and one really bad stinky comment.
Stick out.
That's the one that stays in your head.
Yeah,
that's the witch wound. It's the bad comment that stays with you, and they do really shake me. I've often wanted to step away from being seen online because of nasty comments.
Yeah.
Because people are so brave when they're behind a computer screen. Oh. They just think that you're invincible and you're impenetrable and like they can just say anything to you. And it doesn't. Like I've had whole weeks where I've been shattered by a nasty comment. I've had to have therapy when I've had a nasty comment. And I guess it just made me think about the whole visibility thing, the being seen, trying to challenge that witch wound and be visible online and share our lives and all of that stuff and actually how scary that is and how sometimes it can be really unsafe as well.
Yeah.
Because if the wrong people find you, that can be quite scary as a woman.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, I can imagine people feeling unsafe around, certain religious organisations as well about it. Which is so sad because, we just go back to the same thing of witchcraft is just such a peaceful, earth-based practice. And it's just like, why? The witch wound.
Yeah. Someone actually, a man came on my, a man. Let's just start there. Came on one of my Instagram stories of me playing drum and singing. And I think that the caption I'd written was, "This is my church." And what I meant is like being in the elements and playing music, that was spiritualism to me.
Yeah.
And he called me dumb. And he was just like, "A church is for Christianity only. You sound dumb," or whatever. And I just thought, like, what? Well, you're completely missing the point here, and just like, why would you come on anyone's page? It's like this sort of like expectation that it's okay because you're from Christianity for you to come onto another spiritual practice and say something like that and it be okay. you know, and imagine if our community was doing that with, you know, a more well-known religion.
Yeah.
I just think it's a bit wild.
Well,
It made me feel not want to be seen online.
Yeah.
And
I was just singing and sat on a rock, you know.
Yeah.
Completely harmless. It wasn't like I was sharing any big opinions like normal. I was literally just like singing to the sea and sitting on a nice rock.
And then you get that comment.
I don't remember social media being this bad.
So cruel.
I feel like it's got worse and it's
the
getting
pitchfork
worse.
mentality. Like I think that is the witch wound. It's this sort of like this hunt to take people down, like project all of our anger onto someone that we deem to be deserving of it without knowing any context at all. Like we've seen it even on our own YouTube channel where people have come for me specifically when they haven't even listened to what I've said. You know, you said this. Well, no, actually I said the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
You just didn't listen to the whole sentence. You listened to the first part. And then, you know, they've just been like, I'm not watching anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's your prerogative.
Shall we talk about ways that we can heal the witch wound?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Shadow
I
work
think-
and inner work.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, well, I'm definitely getting so much benefit from journaling.
Mm.
Just like picking apart where these feelings come from and looking deeper into the friendships as well and sort of understanding the context behind the way people have acted and how I can make peace with that. Like that incident that I told you recently, normally the way I would respond is with rage. Pure fiery rage, she says.
The fire behind her.
Pure fire.
It's so funny because I would respond with emotion.
Of course you would. Water sign.
I would run away.
And ground in a tree
I would
because
go
she's
and
an
hide in a
earth sign.
tree.
Yeah, I would normally respond because I've always had this feeling of like needing like righteous justice, you know, righteous anger. And actually, I realised that just wouldn't serve me in any way. And, you know, that actually sometimes a more powerful thing is to forgive and release and let go. I wouldn't say that I fully have, but the way I responded was definitely with that in mind.
Better than you usually would.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly, I've like feel proud of myself for just saying, you know what? This is what the universe wants me to do.
I was going to say as well, one of the things I was thinking about is forgiveness, and forgiveness not because I'm trying to think what I mean by it. Forgiveness I guess it's not forgetting what happened, but it is just forgiving and letting releasing, I guess, letting go. And I think the other thing is to think about honouring your gifts, not in an arrogant hey, but as in like, these are my gifts. This is what I have to offer. And then embracing everyone else's gifts and acknowledging, oh, wow, these are their gifts, these are their gifts, these are my gifts. You know, acknowledging that all of us equally are sort of suffering in the witch wound as well. Like it's a unanimous pain
Problem.
Yeah, it's a unanimous problem, a unanimous pain that we all
it's a collective trauma
that you all feel in your varying degrees.
Having
Having conversations with each other. Open conversations with each other about it and trying to work through things.
Yeah, definitely.
Is really helpful.
And we already touched on it, but setting boundaries. I just think we're so bad with boundaries these days. It's something to do with, you know, probably our work situations, you know, the immediacy of needing people to respond to things all the time, that we don't feel like we have a right to say no for our own mental health, for our own personal lives and our own game.
I'm just going to look right down the lens.
But you know, healthy boundaries, saying no to people, saying no, you know, you're not obligated to do anything.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel obligated.
And if you do say no, this is what I'm learning, is no one's going to hate you for it.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're so worried about being disliked.
Do you find that you feel safe around certain people to say no, but there's some people that you still can't do that with?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can go, okay, no to that. And then I'm like, yes, when I actually want to go, no.
Yeah.
And I think, again, mine is all from, not to play my tiny violin, but because as I was at school, I was so bullied by a huge group of girls that I learnt to just be amenable. Like the witch wound there was to be amenable and also to be a little bit court gestury. So getting out my hat and my rattle. So yeah, there are certain situations if I feel unsafe, I'll just say yes. And in other situations, if I do feel safe, I say no. So it's, again, the boundaries of figuring out where you feel that.
Well, I guess it's learning to say no
Per se.
When you want to.
When you want to, like, listen to that.
Yeah, listen to your body.
Your body.
Yeah.
The real.
If your mouth says yes when your body's saying no, your body will at some point stop you.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
Won't it? That's
We'll take
how
over.
sickness happens, you know. Your body's just like, I keep telling you no and you're ignoring me and you now have no energy left. I was going to say reclaiming sisterhood.
Yeah.
You know, that's some work that we've all been doing, you know, this kind of rebuilding of trustworthy friendships, of lifting each other up. And the other thing I was going to say is celebrating friendship. So celebrating your friend's success rather than jealousy and tearing each other down and gossiping behind each other's backs. I actually just like being happy for your friends when they do well, especially when they deserve it as well.
They've worked hard and they deserve it.
They deserve it, then we should absolutely be celebrating them.
Yeah.
If they don't deserve it, we should still celebrate them because, you know, they did it the easy way. The sneaky way.
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be more of a uplifting of each other and a celebration of, you know, all of your friends.
Our uniqueness,
You know?
as well, because we're so different. We're all so different.
Look at us. Very different. And, you know, like I say, we all have our own gifts.
Yeah.
Our own way of approaching things, our own way of looking at the world, our own way of doing things. And it's to be celebrated. It's not to be, I want to say vilified. I don't know if that's the right word, but not to be squashed or diminished. It's to be like, wow, look, that's amazing, you know. I know a lot of people at the moment, because I'm doing Pendragon Reiki, are like, everything all right, Lizzie? But that's my, you know, that's my kind of authentic self that I'm saying, actually,
Yeah.
I love this. I want to do it, you know.
Yeah,
and those who see that will say, "Oh, good for you. That's brilliant." You know, you go full steam ahead with it, not like, okay. So it's celebrating everyone's unique gift that they have to offer in this incredible, complex, you know, spiritual haven that we're all a part of. And I think the other thing about witchcraft that is so beautiful is exactly like you've both said. It's giving yourself permission to just be who you are. It's just to be who you are, warts and all, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, and accepting that in yourself and then accepting that in everyone else.
Yeah.
That we're just like a complex web of intricate matter, and that we all just really need massive compassion, just huge compassion for everyone, and particularly in sisterhood, of just like, I see you, it's totally okay, and I love you for it, and I get it, and I hear you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
That made me quite emotional.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, and that is the end.
The other thing I was going to say was working through ancestral, like, generational patterns and recognizing them, and then trying to break it, you know, and be the change, you know, break that cycle.
Yeah.
Be the change you want to
Be
see.
the change.
Yeah.
Because they can, you know, if you do have children, if you don't break it, it could then get passed down to them.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's really important to start recognizing those things.
Do you both recognise from, not necessarily other women in your family, there are witch wound traits that you've then picked up? Do you see, like, any other, whether that's a sibling or an aunt or whoever, that there's a trait that you're like, I have that too. Interesting. So that's...
I definitely think there's an imposter syndrome theme running through, and also like a lack mentality. for sure. What about you?
Well, I know that all of the women in my family have basically fallen for awful men. You know, not now. I've got a lovely husband, but you know,
he's lovely.
We've all started by ending up with someone pretty terrible.
Oh.
And I think that there's a lot of complexity to that, but I do genuinely believe that it's intergenerational trauma. And I think that actually the youngest of the family is doing some big work to break that pattern now. We've been kind of like supporting her to try and break that pattern. But yeah, it's just really tricky, isn't it? You know, I think the work that we're doing now is work that happens around this point in your life. You know, you have to make a lot of mistakes, and you know, you don't always realize that you're the one making the mistakes. You often feel like it's the other people and that you're a victim.
Yep.
And everyone else is the perpetrator.
And then you're like, let me just look at myself.
There's definitely something that I'm doing wrong here.
Yeah.
You know, why am I attracted to these people, friendships or relationships? So yeah, I mean, I definitely recognize that. You know, but I'm recognizing all kinds of patterns that need breaking. Like hoarding is a big one for me. You know, because having grandparents that were in World War II that didn't have anything and were always constantly squirreling things away. There was always a worry that, you know, if you got rid of something, you might need it at another point. And that's been passed down to me. And I do not live in World War II, you know, so I don't need all of these things. I don't need to be emotionally strangled by all of these items. Witch wound, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that my sisters or my mum had these complications with friendships. But I'm definitely having
the witch.
I have always had them. I've had lots of witch wound issues, and I still am. It's lots
I had
to
a
work
lot
through.
of that in primary school and with other women or girls.
Yeah,
yeah, girls back then. Yeah,
yeah, a lot of I actually got pulled out of one school and put in another one. So
whoa, yeah,
yeah. So
that's similar. Not that I was pulled out, but I had such a torturous time in one particular school that I think my parents were like, okay, she finishes the year and then.
I don't think, you know, friendships between women are so complicated.
Yeah, they are.
I don't think we really realise until, well, I didn't realise until recently, and probably the conversations that we've been having, how complicated they actually are and how many layers.
They're complicated, but they're also really deep. You
Yeah.
know? I think, you know, when people say, oh, you know, women's relationships are more difficult than men's relationships with each other. And I'm like, yeah, but they also have this incredible depth to them that's really special. There is a magic there. But they are complicated, you know, and I remember them being complicated when I was really young. Like you were saying in school, I remember them being complicated. I remember being really affected by, oh, you're not my best friend anymore. This person's my best friend. Can I have my best friend ring back? And being like literally heartbroken and not wanting to go back to school for like a week because of it, you know.
Yeah.
But I was a really shy, anxious kid. And you might not think that now. You might look at me and be like, she seems to know what she wants and what she's about. She's confident. But I've become confident through lots and lots of pain, through working through lots of pain. And I think that, ouch, I think that it's not what we're talking about now is not like an adult issue. It's something we've experienced through the whole of our life. And actually, if you look back, we've been having these issues the whole time, like when we were a child, when we were a teenager, now that we're fully grown women. And so I guess in a way, we should be proud of ourselves that we're actually like unpicking it now.
Yeah.
And that we're trying to break the pattern.
Yeah.
And we're trying to check ourselves when we do things.
Yeah.
You know, like I did something the other day and I was like, why did I do that? Like, what is it in me that made me do that thing? I knew that it would be bad.
But I did it.
Anyway. Is it because I am comfortable in chaos or, you know, and you really do have to just like, you know, hold yourself accountable for your behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be the change. As Steph says, be the change.
Be the change.
Be the change.
And a finger point
Yeah, I don't know
down the
what
leg.
it is. It's like some weird advert.
That's a saying, isn't it? Be the change.
Yeah,
you
be
wanna
the
see in
change.
the world.
Yeah, be the
Is it?
change.
Yeah.
Is it a war thing?
I don't know.
I don't know. But,
It's a thing.
reclaiming your power as well.
Yeah.
That's a huge one, I think.
Stepping into your power.
Yeah, exactly. Not shrinking yourself, staying small, stepping into who you really want to be.
And then learning not to be affected
Yeah.
by those things, by the witch wound. You know, people can say stuff about you, but that doesn't mean that it's true. You have to know who you are.
Yeah,
So you
that's
really
right.
like, you can say all of those things if you want to, but that's not who I am. I know who I am.
Yeah.
So I would
That's
say that's
really-
stepping
That's
into your power.
that's a really hard one, actually.
That's a really
not listening to what other people say.
Yeah,
The same. I've struggled with that.
Me
Yeah.
too.
that is like probably one of my biggest things. Is that is just going. This is who I am, and I accept. And so the words can just.
Do you know what? I have like moments where I can do that, and then moments when,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's something to do with your cycle as well.
Maybe,
Like,
but it, also,
maybe.
it might just be
Cycle.
like dependent on who it is that's doing the saying, or who
Yeah.
is doing the accusing or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't seem to matter for me. Any old person can upset me. I can be wounded by anyone. Oh no, I've just told them my deepest issue.
You wound me.
Wound me.
You wound me.
So I think that concludes the end of our episode on the witch wound. I hope that you guys at home have enjoyed this episode, and perhaps if you notice any of the things that we've been talking about this evening have manifested, or they're manifesting in your own life, that you can start working through those and healing the witch wound for generations to come. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Embracing Magic, and we'll see you all very soon.